She was the woman who made readers blush, laugh, and dream, a storyteller whose words redefined British romance and scandal. But behind her charm and wit, no one expected that Dame Jilly Cooper's remarkable journey would end so suddenly, and so tragically. At 88, the legendary author's death has left the world in shock, especially after her children revealed the heartbreaking truth behind her final moments. What really happened to one of Britain's most beloved writers? Let's uncover the untold story behind the life and death of Dame Jilly Cooper, a tale of brilliance, resilience, and an ending that no one saw coming. Dame Jilly Cooper, often called the Queen of the Bonkbuster, passed away at her home at the age of 88. Her family confirmed that her death was caused by a sudden fall, an ordinary accident that turned fatal, leaving her loved one shattered. Her children, Felix and Emily, expressed their devastation in an emotional statement, calling her the shining light in all of our lives, and admitting that her death came as a complete shock. Their words painted a picture of a family caught completely off guard, struggling to come to terms with losing a woman who was full of energy, humor, and love until the very end. What makes this story even more heartbreaking is that Jilly Cooper had battled serious health issues in recent years. She had previously suffered a mini-stroke and had undergone a 2-hour operation to clear blocked arteries. She once recalled how she woke up one morning on the floor, unable to move, after feeling unwell the night before. Her son, worried for her health, convinced her to see a doctor, where tests revealed dangerously high blood pressure and cholesterol levels. Though she recovered and returned to her lively self, her body had already endured years of strain. For someone in her late 80s, even a simple fall could turn deadly. And tragically, that's exactly what happened. The details surrounding the incident remain private, but her family confirmed that she passed away unexpectedly at her home. There were no signs that her health had drastically declined, no warnings that the end was near. The fall happened suddenly, leaving her children and close friends stunned. Felix and Emily described her passing as unexpected and said they were proud of everything she had achieved in her extraordinary life, a life that spanned decades of literary triumphs, laughter, and the kind of authenticity that made her one of Britain's most cherished authors. Born Jill Sowlett on February 21, 1937, in Essex, England, Jilly Cooper's journey to fame was as fascinating as her novels. She started as a journalist, known for her witty, cheeky tone and unfiltered honesty. Her columns quickly gained popularity because she wrote about life, love, and human behavior with rare humor and insight. But her real breakthrough came in the mid-1980s, when she turned her sharp observations into fiction. Her first major hit, Riders, 1985, wasn't just a book, it was a cultural explosion. The story of passion, rivalry, and power in the glamorous world of showjumping captured the public's imagination and launched the iconic Ruts Hire Chronicles series. Her novels were filled with steamy romance, betrayal, ambition, and humor, a mix that earned her the title Queen of the Bonkbuster. But beyond the gossip and glitz, Cooper's work tackled deeper themes of class, love, and ambition in Britain's upper crust. She had a unique ability to create flawed yet lovable characters, and her sharp wit made readers feel like they were in on the joke. Her fans adored her, critics respected her, and her name became synonymous with bold, unapologetic storytelling. Despite her fame, Jilly's life was not without challenges. In 1961, she married publisher Leo Cooper. The couple couldn't have biological children, so they chose to adopt two, Felix and Emily, whom she often described as her greatest joy. Their marriage faced ups and downs, including Leo's public affair in the 1990s, but Jilly never let heartbreak define her. She stood by him, forgave, and continued to write. When Leo's health began to decline due to Parkinson's disease, Jilly became his primary caretaker until his death in 2013. Through every trial, she carried herself with grace, humor, and the same fierce independence that made her beloved by millions. Even danger couldn't slow her down. In 1999, she survived the tragic Ladbroke Grove rail crash, crawling out of a train window to safety. Later, she joked that her first thought was about saving her manuscript. That kind of wit, facing life-and-death situations with humor, defined her until the end. She continued to write well into her 80s, releasing Tackle in 2023, proving that her creativity and energy were as vibrant as ever. That's why her death felt so shocking to fans and family alike. Just days before her passing, she had been active, joyful, and planning future projects. To think that one fall could end such a spirited life feels almost unthinkable. But as doctors often warn, falls are one of the leading causes of fatal injuries among the elderly, especially those with previous health conditions like high blood pressure or stroke history. For Jilly, whose body had already been through multiple health scares, even a small accident could have had irreversible consequences. Her death has left a deep void in the literary community. Her agent, Felicity Blunt, described her as a woman who defined British culture and conversation since the day she was first published. Queen Camilla, who was a longtime admirer and personal friend, also paid tribute, calling her a true legend of British literature. Social media was flooded with tributes from fans, celebrities, and fellow authors, many sharing how her books made them laugh, dream, and escape into a world of romance and wit. But perhaps the most touching tributes came from those who knew her personally. Friends described her as warm, funny, and delightfully mischievous. She had an infectious laugh, loved gossip, and was known to host lively dinner parties where conversation flowed as freely as the wine. Even in her later years, she never lost her sparkle. Always curious, always writing, always kind. Her children's grief, though, reveals the personal side of this public loss. Felix and Emily spoke not just of her success, but of her love, her laughter that filled rooms, her strength that held the family together, and her unwavering optimism. They said she had an infectious joy for life that made every day brighter. To them, she wasn't just a famous author. She was Mum, the person who tucked them in at night, the woman who loved animals, and the one who always believed that kindness mattered more than fame. Dame Jilly Cooper's story is one of resilience, creativity, and courage. She broke barriers in a male-dominated literary world, making her mark with humor and heart. Her books will continue to entertain new generations, her words immortalized in print, and her personality remembered by everyone who ever met her. Even though her death came suddenly, her legacy remains powerful, a reminder that life, no matter how glamorous or accomplished, is fragile and fleeting. In the end, Jilly Cooper's final chapter reminds us that even legends are mortal. Her passing wasn't just the end of a life, but the closing of an era, one filled with passion, laughter, and stories that dared to challenge convention. Her children's revelation of the tragic details of her death shows us the reality behind fame, that love, loss, and vulnerability touch us all, no matter how extraordinary our lives may seem. And perhaps that's the greatest lesson Dame Jilly Cooper leaves behind, that life is meant to be lived boldly, with humor, with love, and with the courage to tell your truth. Her fall may have silenced her voice, but her words will echo forever through every page she ever wrote, every heart she ever touched, and every reader who still believes in her stories.